First you lived it, then you wrote a book about it, and now there's this film. How, as you watch it, does it look to you, the story that's told here?
You know, when we wrote Son of Hamas book, I did not write the book. I'm not a writer. I told the story to a writer and he wrote the book. I thought I would change the Middle East, and I think I was wrong. Then I learned the lesson that the book is not me. And this documentary basically is not me. It's my persona. It's part of me. I'm not limited to this. It's just a production. You cannot encapsulate a human experience in any form, in my opinion. I think the work is amazing. It represented the story. And it was a very difficult job, thankfully, for Nadav and the rest of the team who could put things together. I personally try to stay non-attached. You can say that this is not my reality anymore. And I look at it with grace, and I try to be as easy as I can.
I think that a book and a film can change, but if we expect the change to be immediate, it's not going to be immediate. I think that if we give our people in the West Bank, in Israel, the opportunity to think about what they see, criticize what they see. We didn't try to be heroes in the movie. It's not a movie about heroism. It's a movie about choices, about our mistakes. And I think that if we give them the opportunity to think about it and to criticize, in the long run, it can bring a change. But of course, it's not going to be a very fast change.
We made sure, or we tried our best to keep the politics out of the story. For us, the filmmakers, off the bat, it is a very human story. It's a story about two people, our friends here. So, you know, the politics were in the background and it's inescapable, but for us, the story is a story about a relationship primarily. A very interesting thing that happened in the process of editing is that we originally had interviewed a wide array of characters to give context. So the former head of the Shin Bet, who was very much involved in the operations back then, was a character that we interviewed. We had other special agents and people who gave context. And as we were editing, we realized that they were not part of the story, and that the story ultimately was just about the relationship between Mosab and Gonen. And so whatever was extraneous to this relationship, we took out. And if you watch the film again, you can see that the narrative arc, in effect, is the narrative arc of a relationship. So that became the artistic challenge. And to create a drama, the events in our friend's story are highly dramatic, but then to create the thriller of it was just two characters. To have the audience gripped from moment one until the end was two characters, that became the artistic challenge.
What for you was the tipping point that made you say, I know what's right and this isn't right, and therefore I'm going to work with people like Gonen?
I found myself like this moment at intersection, and I made a choice. And most of the time when I make the choice, I think about my higher conscience. Even though at that point in the past it calibrated in a falsehood when I was seeking revenge. But at some point I transcended my own conscience. And again, this is a story of growth, and it's an evolution. I served basically my conscience. I did not serve a political party or a government or a religion. And at some point I had to choose between family, identity, culture, comfort zone, or stand for my truth, which, sometimes is very hard. Now, the moments when I served my selfish desires, which, happens from now and then, I always hit a dead end. I hit a wall. So I choose, to keep on growing consciously and keep transcending, even though sometimes I have to hit the road towards the unknown.
Many times we need to make decisions, and our decisions are being made by influence of our friends, our family, the society where we live, and we don't follow our heart. Here, I needed to follow my heart in those events, and I knew that the outcome of what I'm going to do is going to be either dangerous for me, from my point of view, legally, it could be dangerous. I can tell you that some of my friends didn't like what I did. I have friends in the agency. They didn't like what I do. They told me, "We don't understand your motive. What are you trying to do? Leave it, put it aside." And that time, I needed to follow my heart. And I think that people should go back and remember, that we have intuition. Sometimes we need to go with it.
For me, it was difficult because I was already tired of telling my story. Honestly, the Son of Hamas book was very successful by all the standards. It got to the New York Times top 10 bestseller list, and it became international bestseller and all the translations. But for me, that was not enough, because this is not what I was trying to do, to get on New York Times bestseller list or become famous or whatever it is, because it came on a very high cost. My parents don't talk to me today because of this attempt. It was suicidal, basically. And when I decided to go suicidal, I was expecting to have to make a change, to make a difference, to see people like bigger debate. The first thing, I start hitting the wall of the American media, misunderstanding, the messages and the motives behind the project, which, put me always at defense. Speaking engagements, people would question my integrity rather than, look at the core of the story and understand what I'm trying to deliver to them. So by the time when Nadav came to the production, I was in the jungle somewhere. And I had to come back for that. It was not an easy thing.
What attracts me to this, I guess it's, the power of real life stories. I mean, a Hollywood screenwriter could not have dreamt this story. It's much greater than fiction, as corny as it sounds, and it's, for me, much more inspiring than fiction. I had goosebumps when I met Gonen in Tel Aviv, and I understood the nature of their relationship. I was covered with goosebumps because it made many things possible.